And so if I'm giving 1.6 hours a day on average over the course of a month to this process, let's break it down even further. That is 1.6 is 96 minutes a day on average over the course of the month, but I'm giving myself some days off, which means that on the days that I'm on, instead of it being 96 minutes a day every day, it's 2 hours. It's 2 hours a day for 24 days out of the 30-day month. So I have 6 days that are totally off, right? 6 days that are totally off. 6 days that are completely designated to iteration, innovation, higher level thinking, detoxing, digital detoxing, fasting, meditating, contemplating. These are the days where it's just where I shut off the technology, essentially get away from the technology, and I'm just looking at the simplicity of the system. So that's 6 days out of the month. So 6 off, 6 iterating, 6 days of the month. For 2 hours, I am releasing that which has been created out into the world. And 12 days of the month, I am making and creating. So that feels like a good system. Now it's a question of implementing the system, and with each idea that comes, to really recognize, okay, do I want to give do I essentially want to give 90 minutes of my time to get this out into the world? 90 to 120 minutes to get this piece out into the world? Because that's what I'm saying, right? If I'm saying I'll do 90. Because each product is being given 60 minutes for the making and 30 minutes for the taking on this expert level. The master might be able to, the master can expedite that. But on the expert level, what I'm saying is I'm willing to give up to 90 minutes to give this to the world. And which means that when I have that initial idea, I take that initial idea and it's put somewhere. How do I best want to say this? It's essentially put into a pipeline where it knows that it will go through that pipeline and get completed. And so this brings up the higher question, which is that what is the master? Where's the master system that keeps track of time? If there's 24 projects running a month, and let's just say if there's 8 projects running every 10 days, this is important, right? Because this is both the meta and the granular. If there's 8 projects running every 10 days, the calendar, yeah, this essentially needs to be scheduled. If I'm making two products on the first, and I'm making two products on the second, and I'm releasing those 4 products on the third, then those essentially need to match up with products. So when I'm creating a product, I need to give it to a specific time on the calendar. And if those times on the calendar are, and they are dedicated to specific brands, brand A, brand B, brand C, brand D, bum, 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 brand E, brand F, brand G, then H. Then each of those needs to have a corresponding project in the pipeline, so that when that day comes around and I wake up in the morning on said day, I go, oh, what am I making? And that's already been decided. So there's another question, I guess, which is that, is there a missing piece to all this, which is that if I'm making, taking, iterating, making, taking, iterating, does there also need to be a time for scheduling? Does that go on the iterating? Because there essentially needs to be, yeah, what's the time manager, the calendar keeper, the scheduler, when does that individual work? Who's in charge of this whole systemic system? How do we run this whole system? How do we run this whole system? Bippity boppity boopity boo. How do we run this whole system? Bippity boppity bippity boo. How do we run this whole system? Well, we'll get to that in a moment. Won't we? We're going to have a plan for this whole system. Bippity boppity. Such a cuddly buddly. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. We're going to get to the look at that whole system, and then we're going to call it.